heading up to Meriwether Lewis campground and hiking trail, and this is also where he died, and they've got a little memorial for him. So there's the cabin off in the distance. His grave is actually over here. We're going to take a little path to it. On this site in October 10th, 1809, Meriwether Lewis, renowned explorer of Lewis and Clark and governor of the Upper Louisiana Territory, left the Natchez Trace to spend the night in an inn called Grinder's Stand. That's right in front of us. He died early in the morning and was buried nearby. I guess what they don't tell you is there was a shot heard, and the innkeeper went into the room and saw that he had somehow shot himself. So this is part of the actual trace originally used by the Indians to travel from down south up north. Now we're going to take the actual trace this way and head toward Meriwether Lewis's grave. So this is the grave site of Meriwether Lewis. It says that he was born in Charlottesville, Virginia, August 18, 1774, 2 years before the American Revolution, and died, looks like October 11th, 1809. He was rather young. It has no top to it, which is rumored to be because he committed suicide. But he was an officer in the regular army, private secretary to President Jefferson, commander of the expedition to the Oregon Territory in 1805, 1806, governor of the territory of Louisiana. His melancholy death occurred where this monument now stands. And it looks like where his mortal remains are. So this is actually his grave itself. This around here is a bunch of small markers in the ground with people's names on them. Possibly other people buried here. Cynthia P. Spears. And there's another one over here. And this one is for George Brown. So I'm gonna have to research that and find out what that is. But there's the cabin over there, and there's the actual trace from years ago, and it looks like it continues right here. So right past his gravesite, you take the trace if you actually walk it. This is rather interesting. The last paragraph, the report of the committee, because I guess they had to be careful that this is actually his body that was buried here. They say that in the Grinder house, which is the house up there, the ruins of which are still discernible 230 yards from the spot, his life of romantic endeavor and lasting achievement came tragically and mysteriously to its close on the night of October 11th. So nobody actually saw him kill himself, but they heard a gunshot, and the innkeeper came in. The report of the committee appointed to carry out the provisions of the Monument Act contains these significant statements. Great care was taken to identify the grave. George Nixon, Esquire, an old surveyor, had become very early acquainted with the locality. He pointed out the place, but to make assurance doubly sure, the grave was reopened and the upper portion of the skeletal remains, such as evidence, found as to leave no doubt of the place of interment. So basically they checked the skull. We now find more strange evidence. Individuals' names all over here. Vernon Henson, Christine Henson, H.W. Flagan, Mrs. Flagan. Maybe these are individuals who donated, or maybe they're all buried here. O.T. Alright, so we made it to Alabama. Unfortunately, we forgot to bring our Confederate flag. We should probably keep the flag handy just so they know we're locals and not from the north. But anyway, this is the Seal of Alabama. The Great Seal in 1663. King Charles II of England granted the colony of Carolina all the land between 31 and 36 degrees north latitude. So this is Rock Springs. Travel as a nature trail. Offer an opportunity to see bubbling springs and so we're down around Colbert's Ferry. This is the bridge we just came over across the Tennessee River. A little picnic area. Quite nice. This obviously wasn't a bridge back in the day that the Indians and settlers were trying to get across, so there was a ferry. Here's a nice little picture of it. And you can see in the early 1800s, ferries like the one at George Colbert ran near the Tennessee River, linked segments of the Natchez Trace. Ferries carried people across the river for a fee. Post riders, cane tucks. Cane tucks were the individuals who came down in the boats with their furs, sold their boats, and then would walk up the trace. It would take about a month to walk back, by the way. Military. We're going to go down this path. See, these things would get me in trouble. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But again, this is Colbert Ferry, who basically would take people across the Tennessee River for a small nominal fee. And I'm sure this is the exact trace path right here that the Indians for 10,000 years took, and the ferrymen for 100 or so years. This is all before the invention of the steam engine, which is very important. The moment that steam engine came and the boats were able to actually make it up the Mississippi and Ohio River, there's really no need for the trace anymore. But this is just, again, following Tarzan. This is our life. Marking our territory across the trace. This is a nice little bluff. Right on the edge. And you can see here the river must be kind of low. But there's a dock down there. Place to launch your boat. Even though I think there's just full of moss this time of year. That's a beautiful calm river though.